Welcome back to your one-stop destination for captivating recaps. If you're new to the channel, congratulations, you're in for a treat. Today, we're diving into another thrilling recap. So, grab your popcorn, sit back, and get ready to be mesmerized. The movie commences with the silhouette of an elderly woman in a dimly lit house as its inhabitants slumber. The narrative then shifts to Renee and Josh, a wedded couple recently settled into their new residence with their 3 children. Renee, leaving her still sleeping spouse behind, descends to unpack and organize their belongings. Amidst this, she pauses to peruse a photo album. Upon Dalton's awakening, Renee shares the album's images, but Dalton expresses a desire to see pictures of his father. Renee elucidates the scarcity of such photos, attributing it to Josh's aversion to cameras and reluctance to be photographed. As the day progresses, Renee grapples with the stress of shuttling the boys to school, picking them up, tending to their youngest daughter, and managing household organization. Later, Renee, prompted by a faint noise, investigates the attic. In the process of opening a light bulb, she inadvertently damages one of the ladder steps, but fortunately finds no one in the upper space. During the night, with everyone downstairs, Dalton notices the attic door gradually creaking open. Dalton ascends the stairs, carrying a lamp and his toy, intending to investigate. After setting them down, he climbs the ladder to activate the light switch. Unfortunately, a cracked step causes him to fall. Though he sits up, massaging his head, his subsequent gaze into the darkness reveals palpable fear, as if he has witnessed something horrifying. Responding to Dalton's screams, the couple hurries upstairs, leaving their other son with the baby. Josh tends to Dalton in his room, while Renee sternly prohibits further attic exploration, declaring it off limits. Before leaving the attic, Renee discovers her sought-after music sheets in a box. Morning arrives, and Josh attempts to wake Dalton for school, but his eyes remain shut, unresponsive even to shaking. Urgently, the couple rushes him to the hospital, where the doctor delivers the unsettling news of Dalton being in an inexplicable coma, a case beyond their prior experience. 3 months later, Dalton is returned home while still in a coma. As Renee, grappling with the stress of composing another song, listens on the baby monitor, a sinister voice exclaims, "I want it now." Startled, Renee drops the baby monitor but rushes to the baby's room to comfort her crying child. Renee soothes her baby, her eyes scanning the room in an attempt to locate the source of the voice. Even checking the closet yields no results. Later that day, their other son confesses his fear of Dalton and his discomfort with Dalton's nocturnal wanderings. Renee is left speechless by this revelation. At night, the fearful son closes his bedroom door to avoid the disconcerting sight of Dalton. Concurrently, Renee shares her earlier experience with her husband, describing the clear voice that had no visible source in the room. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by a knock on the front door. Josh investigates downstairs but finds no one, extinguishing the lights before returning upstairs. Meanwhile, Renee heads to the baby's room upon hearing her cries. Startled, she calls for Josh upon spotting a strange man. However, by the time Josh arrives, the mysterious figure has vanished. As the lock alarm sounds, Josh descends to find the front door wide open, leaving him baffled. Despite a thorough search downstairs, Josh discovers no suspicious individuals. After turning off the alarm, he heads back upstairs to be with Renee and their children in Dalton's room. The alarm goes off again, prompting Josh to silence it and secure the door, despite finding no evidence of an intruder. The next day, Josh contacts Renee to let her know he'll be working late due to grading tests and attending meetings. The nurse informs Renee that Dalton has shown no response to the new tests. Over the subsequent days, Renee, overwhelmed with emotion, confides in the nurse about the profound sadness she has been experiencing since Dalton inexplicably fell into a coma. As Renee tends to Dalton's blankets, she discovers a bloody handprint on his bed, leaving her both confused and terrified. Urgently, she calls Josh, pleading for him to come home despite his workload. Josh complies, and upon his arrival, Renee expresses her fear for Dalton's well-being. She admits sensing something amiss in their home since they moved in, convinced that the house is haunted and expressing an inability to endure being alone any longer. Renee confronts Josh, accusing him of avoiding their situation by staying late at work. Josh defends himself, explaining that it's his coping mechanism for dealing with stress. In a dramatic gesture, Renee throws Dalton's bedsheet with the bloody handprint at him, insisting that he confront the unsettling reality they are facing. Later that night, while Josh sleeps on the couch, Renee awakens from a nightmare to witness a figure pacing outside their bedroom. Suddenly, the mysterious man appears in the room and charges at Renee, prompting screams that wake up Josh and the baby. Racing upstairs, Josh finds Renee sitting on the floor, visibly distressed. She points to the window, insisting that the strange man was in the room. Despite checking and finding the windows tightly shut, Renee pleads with Josh to believe her, repeatedly asking to move to another house. Josh agrees, embracing her, and the family relocates to a new home with the help of Josh's mother. During a stroll back to the house one day, Renee glimpses a young boy dancing inside. Rushing inside, she finds the boy has vanished, and the glass door softly closes. When Renee turns, the boy playfully runs behind her. Following the giggles and footsteps, she enters her son's messy bedroom, discovering only a rocking toy horse. Suddenly, the door slams open, prompting Renee to exit and check on Dalton. Finding the boy's shoes hidden in the closet, she silently grabs a hockey stick and cautiously approaches the closet. As the boy exits, pushing the doors open with playful steps, Renee can only cry, realizing that her attempt to start anew with her family has miserably failed. Later that day, she hurriedly introduces Josh to a priest before he departs. In the priest's absence, Renee shares with Josh and his mother that the malevolent entity from their old house has followed them. She recounts her unsettling encounter with the dancing boy. This revelation prompts Josh's mother to disclose a disturbing dream she had about their new residence. In the dream, she finds herself in the house late at night, entering Dalton's room to discover a figure standing in the corner. When she queries its name, it responds only as a visitor. The mother inquires about its intentions, and it chillingly declares a desire for Dalton, pointing towards him. Suddenly, a red-faced figure behind Josh roars at his mother, yet upon investigation, they find no one there. In the midst of her panic, they hear unsettling noises emanating from Dalton's room. Rushing to the scene, they find the door unyielding. With Josh's forceful intervention, the door opens to reveal Dalton on the floor amidst chaos and disorder in his room. The violent incident in Dalton's room prompts Josh's mother to reach out to her psychic friend Elise. Elise, in turn, sends her 2 assistants to conduct preliminary tests. One assistant engages in a conversation with the couple while the other performs the initial examinations. Initially, everything appears normal, but when the assistant observes girls dressed in white near Dalton's room, they decide to contact Elise. Arriving early in the morning, Elise, after a brief inspection, confirms that the mother made the right decision in seeking her help. Entering Dalton's room, Elise looks up and describes to her assistant what she sees: a black figure with a bloody red face and dark, hollow eyes. The assistant swiftly sketches the description, following Elise's guidance. Overwhelmed, Renee grabs the sketchbook and sees the exact figure that the mother had witnessed in the house before. Desperate, she turns on the lights, but Elise continues staring at the ceiling, perceiving things that ordinary eyes cannot see. They reconvene in the living room, where Elise provides an unsettling explanation. Dalton is not in a coma, and it's not the houses that are haunted, it's Dalton himself. Elise reveals that Dalton is a skilled astral projector, a practice he has engaged in since a very young age. Dalton perceives these projections as dreams, remaining unafraid. However, his fearlessness led him too deep into the spiritual world, and he became lost in a realm known as the Further, a dark dimension beyond the human world, filled with tormented souls of the deceased. In this state, without his astral body, these souls sense his physical body as an empty vessel, and they crave another chance at life through Dalton's form. Elise explains that some of these tormented souls seek a chance at life through Dalton's physical body, while others, more malevolent entities, have a more sinister agenda. Displaying the sketch of the demon she saw in Dalton's room, Elise warns that this entity aims to cause pain to others and is actively seeking possession of Dalton's body. To accomplish this, time and energy are required, and the entities linger around Dalton. Elise cautions the family that the longer Dalton's astral body remains separated from his physical form, the greater the risk of possession becomes. In tears, Renee implores Elise to reveal a way to bring Dalton back. Elise confirms that there is a method but emphasizes the necessity of their complete trust. However, Josh, skeptical and dismissive, insults their guests and engages in a heated argument with Renee. In a fit of rudeness, Josh demands Elise and her assistants to leave. Josh stumbles upon his son's sketches depicting the exact demonic figure described by Elise. Overwhelmed by the discovery, Josh breaks down in tears, prompting him to finally agree to the plan to bring Dalton back. Elise's assistants, utilizing her expertise, set up cameras to capture any changes in the atmosphere during the session, both electrical and temperature fluctuations. The communication session begins with an attempt to connect with Dalton. However, when he appears, the demon seizes his physical body to resist the group and fend off other entities seeking possession. While the other entities terrorize the couple, Elise persistently demands that the demon vacate Dalton's body. After her repeated commands, the demon finally relents and leaves the vessel. Following the session, Elise reveals to the couple a startling revelation. Josh is also an astral projector. Elise and Josh's mother had encountered each other before because of him. He had been tormented by the spirit of an old woman every night. Josh's mother shares childhood photos, unveiling a shadowy old woman, the same figure from the film's beginning. In each photo, the old woman inches closer to him, explaining why Josh lacks many childhood pictures and harbors a fear of being photographed. However, Josh remains oblivious to these memories, having suppressed them as a means to thwart the creepy woman from infiltrating him and to suppress his astral projection abilities. Elise unravels the unsettling truth that the old woman had befriended his astral body, driving him deep into the further, mirroring his son's predicament. Elise proposes that Josh utilize his astral projection ability to locate and aid his son's return to his physical body, a suggestion to which he readily agrees. Seating him in a chair, Elise induces a trance to prepare Josh for astral projection. Upon awakening, Josh finds himself astrally projected, observing his physical body and the others in the room. Guided by Elise's voice, Josh ventures outside the house, entering a misty emptiness devoid of everything, even light. Encountering a boy resembling Dalton, he follows him into the darkness. The boy halts and points to a house they move from. Entering the house in hopes of finding his son, Josh is startled by a woman in what appears to be a wedding dress and a long veil. Recovering from the shock, he discovers she has vanished. As he ascends the stairs, he hears someone whistling and encounters a family frozen in a statuesque state. Josh leaves them to search for Dalton, but returns upon hearing gunshots. Finding the family on the couch, they appear shocked by a bizarrely smiling member. When Josh diverts his gaze momentarily, they suddenly appear in front of him, smiling eerily. Startled, Josh proceeds to the attic, where he discovers a red door, the same door Dalton had drawn before becoming lost in astral projection. Josh strides toward the red door, but the violent entity that attacked Renai reappears and launches an assault on him. A fierce struggle ensues, and Josh nearly succumbs, but with Elise's words of encouragement, he manages to overcome his assailant. Following this victory, Josh enters the door and finally locates Dalton. Hastening to his son, Josh frees him from his chains, but the demon senses their presence and launches an attack. Evading a direct confrontation, Josh seizes Dalton, intent on returning to their physical bodies. As they navigate through the dark and empty mist, successfully avoiding the demon's pursuit, they encounter other entities. The house begins to shake, and Renee's voice guides them back to their new home. However, the spirits, alerted by her voice, soon invade the house. Despite Renee's calls, Josh doesn't follow Dalton. Witnessing the shadowy old woman, Dalton encounters the persistent demon, prompting him to rush to his room and re-enter his physical body. Simultaneously, Josh confronts the shadowy old woman and sternly commands her to leave him alone, asserting that he is no longer afraid. With Renee's voice and Josh's newfound firmness, the shadowy old woman retreats into the darkness. Moments later, Josh and his son wake up, and simultaneously, the damned souls-seeking vessels vanish. The reunited family joyfully chats in the kitchen, while Elise and Josh prepare to depart from a long night. Josh hands Elise his childhood pictures, but as she takes them, she senses something amiss. Suddenly, Elise takes a flash photograph of Josh, triggering a rage in him as he screams about his aversion to being photographed. In a fit of violence, Josh attacks Elise, strangling her to death. Hearing Josh's screams, Renai rushes to the living room and discovers Elise dead. As she searches the house for Josh, she realizes everyone has disappeared, and the house is eerily silent. Coming across Elise's camera, she finds a recent photograph of the shadowy old woman. It becomes apparent that when Josh handed her the pictures, Elise saw that his hands and nails were dirty and old, resembling the shadowy old woman's. The flash from Elise's camera revealed the presence of the shadowy old woman, implying a successful possession of Josh. Renai hears Josh's voice as he places his hand on her shoulder, reassuring her that he's right there. As she turns around, an aura envelops her face. The film concludes with the shadowy old woman blowing out a candle in the darkness, leaving an ominous and unresolved conclusion. Subscribe for more videos like this, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out. Leave us a like to help us out and comment your thoughts on the video. Stay awesome.